down.
Today, Kira and I went and got several flowers, some vegetables, and herb. Ended up getting a couple of fruit trees, which wasn't planned for. So we are going to be busy this afternoon planting the planter boxes. I have to make another planter box for the vegetables and all that stuff, but we are very excited and we're gonna have fun today. Not what it was intended for, but it works. Well, it has turned into a much bigger project this weekend. We're like, well, why don't we just build a raised garden bed? So I'm gonna be building a raised garden bed. So I'm gonna run to Home Depot, rent a reciprocating saw, buy a lot more soil. So yeah, it's going, it's crazy. Quick update on the planter box raised bed. The battery was dead or dying, so this morning been working without filming, but making some good progress. So yeah. You filming? Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. So this is our raised bed. Not bad for just throwing it together, I think. We're going to throw a bunch of scrap wood in here just to help fill up the bottom. It's called Hugelkultur. We used scrap wood from construction. Around here I talked with the building manager and he was good with us using. We were taking some of the scrap wood they were just going to throw away, and then all the sides are made out of pallets.
We made a coffin.
Sure, there's enough room for you in here. This week's been pretty rough, honestly. It's been a lot harder than I originally thought it was going to be. Because of that, I scheduled a second session with my therapist. My wife did as well. It's been a pretty rough week for both of us. Our therapist had challenged us to do something each day to help us get out of a certain, different mindsets. For me, it was the ingrained belief was not being able to say no, and that people only would want to spend time with me if I was doing something that they enjoyed. You know, that people wouldn't want to spend time with me just for who I was as a person. A lot of that was from growing up for me. My wife's challenge was to ask for help. Didn't realize that it was her therapist or her didn't realize that it was going to be this big of a trauma response to do that. So I got a text from my wife saying that she was feeling on edge around me this week when asking for help with things. Kind of explained some things, but I was also confused on what was causing her to be on edge, just because I didn't understand that it was a trauma thing at that time. I just thought she was on edge around me and I felt like I was doing something wrong, like it was my fault, but That wasn't my fault. And this is one thing I think I've said before in a previous video, but it's one thing that I really believe is true. Trauma makes people do things that are illogical. You know, when people are experiencing trauma, the actions they do when they have trauma don't make sense. My arms look super long right here. Ugh. Yeah, when you're in a trauma period or a trauma trigger, or you've been triggered, or whatever you want to call it, the actions you take after that don't make sense, you know, to someone of sound mind, or not, aka not being in trauma. And I knew Kiera had been on edge lately, and I didn't understand what was causing it. She didn't either for quite a while. It had to do with things that happened growing up with her as well, not feeling like she could ask for help. On Friday, Kiera met with our therapist. I met with our therapist, and at the end of my meeting with her, we both got on the video call with her and just went over some things. And since then, it's been very good. Yeah, things have been really good this weekend. I've been able to be there for her. I've been able to be supportive of her, what she's going through. I've been able to, you know, say things to help her and reassure her that I'm not just using her, taking advantage of her, you know, that I enjoy being around her for who she is and who she is as a person, you know. Kiera had a lot of experiences where people she dated only wanted to date her because they wanted something from her physically, you know, they wanted sexual favors or things like that, you know, and those are still there, you know, those feelings and beliefs are still there. They're gonna have to be worked on. I think what this video is going to be about is looking outside of yourself to support someone else in trauma. It's not easy. A lot of things happen that cause shame, because I've done things that have caused trauma in Kiera's life. And when she talks about trauma that she's experiencing, whether it's created by me or someone else, oftentimes I used to go into a shame spiral. You know, I have a lot of self-deprecating thoughts, think things were all my fault, blame everything on me, and that didn't do Kiera or I any good. But it's taken a lot of work to get to a point where I'm able to be there for her and to hold her pain, to sit with her in that pain, give her space to feel those things, and to really have empathy for her. You know, it's not easy getting to that point, but it's so beneficial. I wouldn't trade any of the experiences I've had or the work that I've put in, because this past few days I've been able to be with Kiera. I've been able to sit with her and to reassure her and to care about her. And, you know, that's what I want to do as a husband. You know, that's who I want to be as a husband. I want to be someone to protect and cherish my wife. You know, and I don't want to take advantage of her. I don't want to use her or manipulate her, because that's not the type of relationship I want. I want a relationship with my wife where we're together. You know, we don't have to be doing the same things. We don't have to enjoy the same activities or anything like that, but in our relationship, we're together. We're there in our relationship for each other, not just for ourselves. And Kiera wrote up on our bathroom mirror together, and I love that. I love that because that's exactly what I want. And sometimes being together in a relationship means not necessarily putting yourself on the back burner, but being aware of what the other person is going through and being aware of what their trauma brain might be telling them in different situations. You know, even Kiera just asking for a hug was difficult for her. She felt very on edge, and it caused trauma to be brought back up. You know, it was like she was reliving the past. You know, she was afraid that she would have to do some sexual favor for me before asking for that hug, because that's what had been done in previous relationships she had been in. She was afraid that she would be told she was too needy, or, you know, wasn't good enough, or just needed to grow up. You know, when she asked me for that hug, I was like, yes, I want to give you a hug. I can give you a hug. After that, I told her that this hug right now is enough. I like hugging you. I enjoy hugging you, just being able to give you comfort and reassure you. I enjoy doing that. It makes me happy, makes me fulfilled in my relationship with you. And I believe that was a prompting from God to say those things, but I was able to be there with her when she was nervous and scared. And it was hard for her to ask for help, to ask someone else for comfort, because she'd been told no so many times. You know, and I was able to just be there with her and reassure her and comfort her and tell her that, yeah, just being able to support you in this way, it fulfills me in the relationship. And it was amazing being able to do that and to be there with her in that. And I'd never experienced it in that way before. Kira's had cancer before, twice. It's been, our 5 years of marriage has been pretty crazy. But I helped her a lot when she had cancer, but being able to help her in this moment, in that moment when she was asking for a hug, was amazing. I'm grateful that I've put in the work to get to a point where I can be satisfied and fulfilled with just helping her by giving her a hug. Kira, I love you. This part doesn't need to be on the video, but I love you. And I cherish you. You are everything to me. I hope you know that I love you for who you are, for who you've become, and I loved you for who you were, being with you and just taking care of you, and I just want to be there for you every other time you need a hug moving forward. I love you. You know, everyone's in a relationship with someone, whether that's a relationship with a friend or a spouse or, you know, family members. We all have relationships, and it's hard moving forward in those relationships when there's unresolved trauma. Feeling like you have to shove your feelings aside, your worries and insecurities aside to please someone else. That's hard. And it's not healthy. But being able to come to the other person you're in a relationship with, you feel open about talking about what's on your mind, what you're uncomfortable with, what is satisfying to you in the relationship, what things you think could change in a better way. Those are hard things to talk about with anyone. If you've both done the work, the self-work, gone to therapy, resolved trauma, and processed it, you know, and are working on bettering yourselves, it's a totally different relationship than ever. Yeah, than you've probably ever been in. My marriage the past 3 months is completely different than it has been the past 5 years. It's been insane, and I wouldn't trade the past 5 years for anything, because that's how I learned. I grew from those experiences, not always in the experience. I hardly ever grew in the experience, but looking back, I've been able to grow from those experiences into the relationship that I want with my wife. It's awesome. You know, I think everyone should see a therapist. Everyone should be working on themselves. You know, it's hard. You know, a lot of people think they don't have time. Yeah, it's not worth it. It costs too much, but it's you. It's your life. You're going to have your body, yourself for years. You know, I'm 28. Hopefully I live to be 78. I don't care. I don't know. I haven't really thought about how long I want to live, but I want to enjoy myself. I want to enjoy relationships I have with other people. So if I don't work on myself, how can I bring something good to a relationship and expect good things back? You know, it doesn't really make sense. If you want good relationships, you have to start with yourself. If you want to be able to show up for people, you have to work on yourself. You're worth it. You know, even if you just had a relationship with yourself through the rest of your life, I would want to be good company for me. I didn't used to think I would be. I want to be good company for myself and my wife. I want to enjoy time with my wife, so I'm going to work on myself. Anyways, kind of just a lot of random thoughts today, but it's not easy. It's hard taking those first steps, trying to work on yourself, but you can do it. Yeah, it's possible to change. You have to put in the work, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Everyone needs help. You're not able to do this all on your own. If you want it to change, you need help. Don't be afraid to ask. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next week.